10 Signs You're Overthinking Everything. Hello and welcome. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night replaying conversations, questioning decisions, or imagining dozens of different outcomes for situations that haven't even happened yet? Maybe you've told yourself that you're simply being careful, responsible, or prepared. After all, thinking things through is usually considered a good thing. The ability to reflect, analyze, and learn from experience helps us make better choices and avoid unnecessary mistakes. However, there is a point where healthy thinking turns into something much less helpful. Instead of helping you solve problems, it creates new ones. Instead of giving you clarity, it fills your mind with doubt. Instead of helping you move forward, it keeps you stuck in the same cycle of questions, worries, and endless analysis. The difficult thing about overthinking is that it often feels productive. You may believe that if you spend just a little more time analyzing a situation, you'll finally find the perfect answer. You convince yourself that more thinking will bring more certainty, but in reality it often brings more stress. The more you search for complete certainty, the more difficult it becomes to feel satisfied with any decision you make. So how do you know whether you're simply being thoughtful or whether you've fallen into the trap of overthinking? Let's look at 10 common signs. The first sign is replaying conversations long after they end. It's normal to occasionally think back on an important discussion, especially if it was emotional or meaningful. But overthinkers often take this much further. Hours or even days later, they may still be reviewing every detail, wondering whether they said the wrong thing, sounded awkward, or gave someone the wrong impression. They analyze specific words, facial expressions, and reactions as if the conversation is still happening. The problem is that most of these questions have no clear answers, and the more time you spend searching for them, the more exhausted you become. The second sign is struggling with simple decisions. For many people, choosing what to wear, what to eat, or what to buy requires only a few moments of thought. For an overthinker, however, even small decisions can feel surprisingly stressful. Every option gets compared, every possible outcome gets considered, and every choice seems to carry more importance than it actually does. Instead of trusting your instincts, you keep searching for the perfect decision, often forgetting that perfection rarely exists. A third sign is constantly imagining worst-case scenarios. Whenever information is missing, the mind automatically starts filling in the blanks. If someone doesn't respond to your message, you assume they're upset. If your boss wants to talk, you immediately worry that something is wrong. If you're facing a new challenge, your attention focuses on everything that could go wrong instead of everything that could go right. Over time, this habit trains the brain to treat uncertainty as a threat, even when there is no real danger. Another common sign is finding it difficult to stay present. Have you ever noticed that even during enjoyable moments, part of your mind is focused somewhere else? You might be spending time with friends while thinking about tomorrow's responsibilities, or relaxing at home while worrying about a decision you need to make next week. Overthinking pulls your attention away from the present moment and places it in an imagined future or a remembered past. As a result, meaningful experiences often pass by without being fully appreciated. The fifth sign is constantly seeking reassurance from other people. Everyone needs reassurance from time to time, but overthinkers often find themselves asking for it repeatedly. A friend may tell you that everything is fine, and for a brief moment you feel relieved. Then the doubts slowly return and you begin questioning the situation all over again. The issue isn't usually a lack of answers. It's the feeling that no answer ever seems completely certain. Another sign is reading too much into ordinary situations. A short text message suddenly feels suspicious. A delayed reply seems like evidence that something is wrong. A neutral facial expression is interpreted as disappointment or criticism. Instead of accepting events at face value, the mind begins searching for hidden meanings and creating stories that may have little connection to reality. Unfortunately, those stories are often far more negative than the truth. The seventh sign is having trouble letting go of the past. Everyone experiences mistakes, regrets, and embarrassing moments, but overthinkers often revisit them repeatedly. They replay old situations in their minds and imagine how things could have gone differently. Although reflection can be helpful, constantly reliving the same memories rarely leads to growth. More often, it keeps you emotionally attached to events that can no longer be changed. The eighth sign is spending more time thinking than taking action. Planning and preparation are useful, but only up to a certain point. Many overthinkers become trapped in a cycle of endless research and analysis because they want complete certainty before moving forward. They keep waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect answer. The problem is that action often teaches us far more than endless thinking ever could. Many questions can only be answered through experience. The ninth sign is that your mind rarely gets a chance to rest. From the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, your thoughts seem to be constantly active. One concern leads to another, and even when there is no immediate problem to solve, the brain continues searching for something to analyze. This constant mental activity can be exhausting and may leave you feeling drained even when you've done very little physically. Finally, one of the deepest signs of overthinking is a lack of trust in yourself. Many people overthink because they believe that if they analyze a situation long enough, they can avoid mistakes and guarantee a positive outcome. But life doesn't offer that kind of certainty. No amount of thinking can predict every possibility. People who appear confident are not necessarily people who always know the right answer. More often, they are people who trust themselves to adapt, learn, and move forward even when they don't have all the answers. If several of these signs sound familiar, don't be discouraged. Overthinking is not a permanent part of your personality. It is simply a habit that becomes stronger through repetition and weaker through awareness. The first step toward change is recognizing when your thoughts are helping you and when they are simply keeping you stuck in a loop. The goal is not to stop thinking altogether. Thoughtfulness is valuable, and reflection can help us learn from our experiences. The goal is to recognize the moment when thinking stops being productive and starts becoming repetitive. Once you have considered the facts, weighed your options, and done what you reasonably can, there comes a point where additional analysis adds very little value. Life will always involve uncertainty. There will always be situations where you don't know exactly what will happen next, and no amount of thinking can completely remove that uncertainty. The people who find the most peace are not those who have every answer. They are the ones who learn to move forward despite not having every answer. So the next time you catch yourself trapped in an endless cycle of analysis, take a moment to ask whether your thoughts are helping you solve a problem or simply keeping you focused on it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is trust yourself, take the next step, and allow life to unfold without trying to control every possible outcome. Because in the end, progress comes from action, growth comes from experience, and peace comes from accepting that you don't need perfect certainty in order to move forward.